Hey everybody, this is Robert and Damien with the Money Coach Show, and we just want to thank you guys for joining us because again, I'm just gonna say it today. We got the juice because it's worth the squeeze. What we're coming with you, as we mentioned in a few episodes ago, that we have a two-part series. Damien's going to be taking it away today as a financial guru, making sure that you guys have the cheat sheet for your IRA and your 401ks. But before I go ahead and pass the buck over to him, I want to give you guys a quick market update. It's something that it's needed, and I'm going to give it to you every week, whether you like it or not, just because it's important. So we have here, which is basically last week. I can sit there and say last week when we did this call, average closing was at 7% for a conforming, and the FHA was at 6.64%. You can see that one to the thousands plates. But you know what? And they are getting a little bit lower. They closed a little bit lower yesterday than what actually I see is happening today, because today it's a little bit high sixes, low sevens, and this is for both the conforming and FHA. But again, as we were talking earlier, you know what? As Damien and I were talking earlier, you guys weren't privy to that. The days of 2021 where it's high twos, low threes. Exactly. That was a fleeting moment, and it was people that struck when the iron hot was in. Bravo. But again, I'm going to say it like a broken record. If you can afford the mortgage now, get it, because you're buying the home. You're marrying the home. You're not marrying the rate, because you know what? There's an interesting study that Damien's going to get into about a 5-year thing. Average person keeps the mortgage for 5 years before they refinance. And then you'll hear some more information about that 5-year key point a little bit later. So with that being said, Damien, bring us the juice, as it's worth the squeeze, my friend.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you for such an enthusiastic market update. Love it. At least they're going down a little bit. I'll take any win with the rates. All right, so today's episode is going to be the first. It's going to be part one of a two-part episode where we are going to discuss pros and cons of 401ks versus IRAs. And normally when you kind of get to the point of whether you're close to retirement or if you've been in a job for a long time and you participated in their 401k, your money has been growing with that company. If you leave that company or if you're ready to retire, you're normally faced with two options. You can either A, roll that money over into an IRA or an individual retirement savings account, or you can also leave that money still in your previous employer's 401k plan. Um, they also have a third option. You can cash out. Most people don't want to cash out. You want to be smart. So, but anyways, it's just to let you know, you can cash out. You shouldn't be cashing out. So let's give you some statistics though. In 2023, around 25 million households had IRAs that had included assets that had been rolled over from former employer plans. That's a stat according to the Investment Company Institute. Still, companies are increasingly encouraging their employees that are leaving to still leave their money in their 401ks. Here's some more data. The Vanguard Group, there was a study done. Almost half of plan participants who left their employers last year still left their money in that previous employer's 401k plan.
Mm-hmm.
And the last little portion is that about a quarter of the people who had left those jobs that were of age 60 and over, that still had their money in that 401k, they plan to leave it in there for years. So this is an important decision when it comes to looking at pros and cons of 401ks versus IRAs. Today's episode is going to be all about 401ks. We're going to be as if Robert and I decided to leave our money in the 401k. And
I did.
so that's smart. This is something, so to everybody, this is a decision that does not need to be considered lightly. There are tax implications. There are a lot of things. Everybody's situation is very different. Okay. So I need to reiterate that. When it comes to these kinds of decisions and you're not really sure about the tax implications, you should contact a tax accountant. you should go ahead and let someone know, a tax professional. So with that,
Trusted
we're going to cover
advisor like us.
yeah, and no,
Mortgage,
hey.
finance, tax.
So 4 areas that we're going to cover, that we're going to talk about whether the pros or cons in regards to sticking with your 401k. The first area, your cost and your investment fees are going to be lower if you stick with your previous employer plan. That's a pro. That means that you get to save money on the cost of the investments and the cost of advice. IRAs, that cost is a lot more expensive. Number two, you have greater fiduciary protections with a 401k. That's a total pro. Um, Keeping your retirement money in a 401k plan provides you a level of fiduciary protection that is not offered by many financial advisors or IRAs. Specifically, those employers are legally required to go ahead and act in the best interest of its plan participants. Another good pro, another related factor to that is that 401k assets are legally protected from bankruptcy. You don't get that protection from IRAs. So, Section
That's because
3.
that 401k sits in a different entity. It's like a third party.
It's almost there's a different level of fiduciary responsibility. Whereas they have to be very good stewards of your money. Whereas with an IRA, it's a little bit more loose, so to speak. They don't have that requirement legally to be a steward of your money like that, and have it you be in their best fiduciary interest. Number 3, this is my favorite portion, and this is another pro. So far, we haven't had a whole lot of cons yet. We haven't had any cons yet for 401ks. So, but this one is really important. Item 3 is you can tap your money sooner. Robert, did you know that if we had a nice pool of money, 6 figures, and we just, you know what, we're kind of done. We can get our money out at the age of 55. But did you know the earliest age, and no penalty, at 55 from a 401k, get our money out, no penalty. The earliest you can get your money out from an IRA is 59 and a half. That's 4.5 years later. Like I said, it's a pro. So another pro about you can tap your money sooner. You can also take out loans on your 401k. If it was an emergency, let's say you had a leak in the roof, let's say there was some kind of event that the home repairs need to be done, you can take a loan out on your 401k and you can repay that money without any penalties or interest. You don't get that with an IRA. That's not an option. The last area, the final area we'll go ahead and talk about is that you're not going to be overwhelmed with a lot of options for a 401k plan. So what I mean by that, Robert, let's say you were scheduled to retire in 2045 or 2050. So a 401k plan from your previous employer is going to put your money into that plan, and then they're going to more than likely offer you those low-cost target funds, and they're going to adjust the mix as you get older. They're going to automatically be placed into safer holdings as you and me age. It's going to be so, but that means that if we wanted to have more risk, and if you and I were savvy investors and we wanted to put our money, we have no flexibility in a 401k. That's a con. That's an area. The fourth and final area is, even though you're not overwhelmed with options in a 401k, I don't really see that as a positive when you look at it objectively. If you have an appetite for risk and you want to take it, if you're in a 401k, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to exercise any kind of that risk. So that is, in a nutshell, pros and cons regarding 401ks. A lot of pros, a lot of positive aspects. So I hope our viewers get to see that if you leave your money in your prior employer's 401k, and if you're not a really financially savvy individual, probably could be a good option for you. So with that said, this is the Financial Guru out. Robert, do you have any final thoughts on today's first part of our 2-part episode?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I can't wait until next week's. Because this is useful information, Damien. You know, it's
No,
like
it is.
honestly, it's like the 59.5 for the IRA. I didn't know that, you know, to be
Yeah.
quite honest with you, that's news to me until you've enlightened me with it. And honestly, the fiduciary responsibility, that right there,
Kind of
that sticks
scary,
out like a
right?
sore thumb. Because as loan officers at Loan and Key here, that's
Oh yeah.
that's that's our golden rule is fiduciary
We
responsibility.
we have a duty, we have an obligation, a fiduciary obligation to our clients. I know, man.
And and
Crazy, right?
honestly, and honestly, what we're doing here, it's an added service. It's not something that we need to. This is the fiduciary responsibility is once you sign that 1003 and we're in negotiation, that's when it starts. But we here at Loan and Key, we want to start that before by having these videos, having these conversations, making these connections, and reach out to us. Our information will be down below in the description. We will be glad to talk to you. If you want to talk mortgages, feel free to reach out to me. If you want to find out more about your IRA, you know, 401k, hey, Damien will be more than happy to pick up the phone and talk to you guys, you know, send out an email. So with that being said, Damien, thank you for an awesome 401k IRA first half, because next
First
week
tab.
we
Stay
will have a
tuned.
second half.
Stay tuned next week. Next week.
Oh, because that glass is only halfway filled with juice, and
Oh
we
yeah,
still
no,
got
no,
some more
we
squeeze.
haven't even gotten to the IRA portion, man. There's some good stuff in that one. So
Oh
everybody
man, I'm
stay
looking
tuned.
forward to that because I actually have an IRA that I maybe after
No,
this we'll look
I
at
know, I
it.
know, I
So
know.
with that being said, hey everyone, I want to thank you for joining us today at this Money Coach show.
Yes,
If you
thank you.
found value, if you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, any bell notifications, whatever it is, so you will be updated whenever we post new videos, whenever we post shorts on our YouTube page. And look out for Instagram. We're going to be hitting that pretty hard lately, or soon, I should say, because
Good
we
point.
want to make sure that we can cover every asset. Hey, if you're on YouTube only, okay, great, we got you covered. Facebook, we got you covered. Instagram, we got you covered. We're going to be hitting up a lot, so you guys will be able to have information wherever you want. So, and even send our videos to people. So with that being said,
Yeah.
I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Damien, you have an amazing weekend, my friend. And
Likewise, Robert.
I
Likewise.
thank you. I look forward to next week's call because again, I'm always filled with more information, more knowledge, because you know, hey, G.I. Joe, knowledge is key. You know, knowledge is power, right? But with that being said, you guys take care and we will see you next week. Bye.
See you next week, everybody.
I love how